Welcome back to MMA Al Dente. I am the guy that called Charles Oliveira defeating Islam Makhachev. Now let's go right into it. Montel Jackson, Julio Arce, second fight of the night. Really good fight. Just speaks to how great this card is, that this is number 2. But Arce, he's 18-5 overall, 5-3 in the UFC, which is a pretty record. His 18 wins are 5 TKOs, 5 submissions, 8 decisions, and his losses are 1 submission, 1 knockout, and 3 decisions. And those are all to good fighters. He's only lost to Song Yadong, Hakeem Dawodu, Shayman Moraes, and Brian Kelleher twice outside the UFC in the local scene around here, New York. But he's fighting Montel Jackson, who was 11-2. I should say Arce's 33 years old. Jackson's 30 years old. I should have said that at the top. Jackson is 11-2 with 6 TKOs, 1 submission, and 4 decisions, and his 2 losses are both via decision. His 1 submission victory came over Brian Kelleher inside the UFC, and he looked damn good doing it. Got him out of there with a Darce choke in round 1. But again, most of his victories, most of his finishes and victories are TKOs or KOs. He's a very heavy-handed striker. Long and tall, probably got reach over most of the guys he knocked out, but he uses it well. He's a very good striker, I want to say, Montel Jackson. He's a good grappler as well, and a good wrestler, but striking is where he wants to be. That's where he's going to find himself at a strong advantage against most fighters, even in the UFC, even against a guy like Julio Arce. Julio Arce, he's 18-5, and he's solid. He's a solid veteran, very technical fighter. And I think he's overmatched on the feet. And I think he's going to have a hard time getting Montel Jackson to the ground. Arce hasn't imposed a wrestling game plan really ever. It's not something he's done. And it's something he'll find himself in that spot against lesser fighters or just fighters that happen to slip up. But Arce's never really the guy to impose a game plan from beginning to end. And I think he would need to impose that type of game plan and successfully to have a shot at beating Montel Jackson. Because Jackson, he's a problem on the feet. And on the ground, even though he's got 1 submission, it's over Brian Kelleher. Is clearly skilled. And I do favor him to win the wrestling battle over Julio Arce. Montel Jackson's shown good wrestling inside the octagon at the UFC level, even though his 2 losses are to better wrestlers, Ricky Simone and Brett Johns. The Brett Johns fight was very close. But Jackson still, he's showing offensive wrestling against most fighters he's fought. And still, he's very dangerous. I don't want to make him sound like a point fighter, even though he's gone to a decision a few times against J.P. Bays and whoever the hell else, Felipe Colares. But there's an example of a fight that, it could have been stopped 5 times before round 1 was over. He's definitely a very dangerous fighter, Montel Jackson. I think he has the length and height and the movement to be a good point fighter, but he's got that power that if it doesn't find a finish, it can damn well win decisions. It can win rounds on the feet. I think Julio Arce is technically sound as he is completely overmatched here. And on the ground, Jackson, I do think he's a little vulnerable. He's been, again, controlled by wrestlers. He's also given up his back a few times to J.P. Bays. Took it in round 1. I think round 1. Yeah, took him down in round 1. And Julio Arce, like I said, he's got 5 submission victories. All 5 of those are via rear naked choke. So that's a path to victory for him, no doubt about it. But he's got to impose his wrestling to have a good shot at getting there. Otherwise, he's just got a half a shot with some opportunistic back-taking moment or potentially clubbing Montel Jackson. Other than that, though, he's got to make it happen, and I don't think he's going to be able to. Arce has looked really good in all of his victories in the UFC. Julian Erosa, Daniel Santos, Andre Ewell, Dan Ige, and Daniel Tamer. He's looked largely dominant in all 5 victories. But his losses, he had tight fights against Hakeem Dawodu and Shayman Moraes, who, knocked him around a little bit, knocked him down in that fight. And Song Yadong, which was the first time his toughness failed him. The first time he was finished via strikes. And Song Yadong is at the very top of the list of hard strikers at bantamweight. He might be the hardest for all I know in terms of punching power, but he's very close to the top. I do think Montel Jackson is close too, though. I can't say he's like Song Yadong, but I do think with his athletic advantages, his physical advantages, combined with his striking and his power, he's got a decent chance of putting away Arce. But I'm not inclined to pick him to do that. I think if he wins, more than likely it'll be a decision. And I do think I'm pretty confident in that. Not in it going to a decision. Really, I'm confident in Montel Jackson winning. So my prediction for the fight is Jackson wins a decision. My bet for the fight is Jackson wins flat, -200. I don't like the odds, but I like him enough to bet on it. So I put it in a parlay. Montel Jackson -200. I'm really kind of hoping for Julio Arce to win here. He is the local guy, but I'm picking against him. So we'll see what happens. Like, share, subscribe, all that horseshit. Check out my other videos.